Hey gang, how's it going? Alicia Cross here, and today I'm talking to you about it started off being called the truth about weight loss, and as I got organizing my ideas, I came up with 7 truths. So it's the 7 truths about weight loss. So if we have not met yet, I am a yoga instructor, a personal trainer, a wellness coach, and I've been helping clients just like you for over 18 years reach your goals, get healthy. And if you are here with me live, say hi, give me a wave so I know that you're here. And whether you are joining me live or you're watching this replay later, thanks for being here. If you have a question or a comment, post it. Let's keep this conversation going. I would love to chat more with you about this. So the topic for today is the 7 truths about weight loss. So let's start off by saying that everybody is different, but there really are some common themes here that are going to work across the board, and that's what we're talking about. So the number 1 truth is you can't out-exercise a bad diet. I did a blog post on this by the same name, and I want to reference a study here that I referenced there. The study found that the energy expenditure, meaning how many calories burned in a day, of traditional hunter-gatherers in Tanzania was compared to the energy expenditure of sedentary Westerners. So you know we have this problem, they say sitting is the new smoking, and it found that all people, no matter where they're from or how active they are, burn about the same amount of calories in a day. That may be surprising to you, but that's kind of why we have the 2,000 calorie a day the food guidelines. They're based on that 2,000 calorie a day because that's about what humans burn in a day. So what you are eating, you can't just exercise it off. It doesn't work that way. And you see a lot of these memes that go out, like especially around the holidays, and they say like, well, you have to do this many burpees to burn off this candy that you ate, and you have to run this many miles to burn off this slice of pie that you ate. And it doesn't work that way. You cannot exercise away the calories that you ate. Exercise does not account for the hormonal changes that are happening when you're eating processed food and sugar-laden food and artificial sweeteners. So it does not work that way. I know you hear this all the time, calories in, calories out, and that does not account for the science experiment that is happening within you with all of the chemicals and the hormones and the neurotransmitters, and we're going to get into all that later. So you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. I overheard somebody in the locker room talking about, oh, everybody's been asking me if I lost weight since I joined the gym, and I haven't lost any weight. Yeah, just joining the gym, you're probably not going to lose any weight. Now, the exception to that, maybe if you were completely sedentary and you start doing something, you're going to obviously have some changes. And that's not only about the calories that you're burning, but again, those hormonal changes that are happening as a result of exercise. So you can't just stop there. It doesn't end with exercise. Exercise, what it does do for you that is beneficial, actually I might save that for later, so you can't out-exercise a bad diet. It is not about, truth number 2, it is not about eating less. You have heard that saying, move more, eat less. I wish I could just shake the person who started that. We need to get that out of our collective consciousness. It is not about eating less. This is what is leading you to basically, just use an extreme word, starve yourself, but you deprive yourself all day long. And then what do? You come home and you're, digging in the kid's cereal box and you're eating the Cheetos or the Cheez-Its that are in the cabinet. You're hungry, obviously, because you didn't get all the nutrients that you needed all day long. And for most of my clients, and most clients I work with are female and probably ages like 40 to 70. It's not about getting them to eat less, it's about getting them to eat more protein, more fiber, drink more water. More is the word here. So I got a question on Instagram about this. It said, I know it's about eating less and eating right, but how much? Again, it's not about eating less, eating right, eating the right things, 100%, and how much. So I have a great post that I'm going to refer you back to, Fix Your Nutrition in 10 Steps. And this talks about how much fiber, how much protein, how much water. And the whole thing about these steps is it's about adding things in, not taking away. At the end, it does kind of end with, these are the things you want to avoid, like artificial sweeteners and the chemicals and the preservatives, but it's all about adding things in. And the real fact is that a calorie is not a calorie. So if you are eating 300 calories of, a salad and you got some protein and some healthy fat in there versus 300 calories of, donuts, that is not going to have the same effect on your body, on your mood, on your gut bacteria, on your hormones. So it is not about eating less. You're right. It is about eating the right things. I just did a video maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 now, about processed foods. I'll reference that again here later. So I talk about the issues with processed foods. So that's what I would definitely say. It's not about eating less. You're right. It's about eating the right things, but let go of that idea of eating less. I want you to let that go. All right, that's moving on to number 3. You have to monitor. You have to monitor your food intake, your exercise, and your weight. You have to track these things. There's different ways that you could do that. So for tracking your food, you can use an app like MyFitnessPal. It's a free app. I suggest using that. You could also use an app that is about taking pictures of your food. I think it's called What I Ate. You could also go old school and write things down, although that is not going to give you the education about macros and serving sizes, but it is at least something that you are keeping track. That will make a difference. You have to monitor your food. You have to monitor your exercise, keeping some kind of exercise log or exercise journal, whether that's on paper or using like an app or a spreadsheet, like a spreadsheet on your phone, or maybe there are apps you can use to track your exercise. And of course, if you have an activity tracker, it is tracking that. But you got to use that information. And tracking your weight. And this goes back to a great question I got from a client on Facebook about, she asked how often to weigh, daily, weekly. What I ask for my clients is weekly body weight checks, and then we do monthly body fat checks, and body fat or body composition. And this is where I get this from. There was a study, I love studies. Let's see. People who have succeeded in losing 10% or more body weight. So if you were 200 pounds, you lost 20 pounds. If you were 150, you lost 15 pounds. So 10% or more of their body weight, they had these things in common. 1, diet. Their daily lifestyle include portion control, and it says low calorie, low fat, and it included breakfast. Number 2, activity. They exercised for at least 1 hour a day, weighed themselves weekly, and spent less than 10 hours per week watching television. So I did a post last week. I referenced it in my email that went out this weekend, that women 50 and up, I think it was 50 and up, need an hour of exercise daily to avoid the weight creep that comes with age. So we know this, you know, the studies are saying this, we know this. We need to exercise. We need to exercise 1 hour per day. You have to stay consistent with that routine, 1 hour per day. I love that it referenced television, watching less than 10 hours of television per week. But getting back to what it said about the body weight, they weighed themselves at least weekly. So this is why I request or require weekly body weight checks. Now, daily. It could go either way. You have to know yourself. If checking your body weight daily or just more frequently than weekly kind of sends you down a negative spiral, if you have any issues with disordered eating, if you feel bad about yourself when you get on the scale and it's 3 pounds higher, that ruins your day, then first of all, we got to re-educate you a little bit. But then you may not want to be getting on the scale every day, because body weight, especially for women, is going to fluctuate up to 4 or 5 pounds daily. And yeah, if you go out to eat or you eat something that's out of your routine, you're going to step on that scale and maybe see 3 or 4 more pounds. You did not gain 3 or 4 pounds of fat. Most likely that is water that you're holding on to. The more carbs you eat, the more water you hold on to. If you went out to eat and there was a lot of salt, you're going to hold on to more water. So a lot of things are going into that, but you did not just gain 4 pounds of fat. That's not what happened. This is why I really like the tracking system on MyFitnessPal. Even if you're not using it to log your food, when you log your weight in there, it graphs it. So you can see the up and down spikes, but you just want to notice a general downward trend if weight loss is your goal. So if you're weighing yourself every day, you just need to use that information. But if it's causing you emotional distress, then it's not good for you. And we'll get into, mindset and positivity in a little bit here too. If you're doing it weekly, even though I don't want you to go completely off the rails over the weekend, still your weekly weigh-in, you may not want to make that on Monday or Tuesday. Unless you are trying to be more consistent on the weekends, and knowing that you need to check your weight on Monday or Tuesday helps to keep you more on track and in line over the weekends. again, so a lot of this is there are some standards that apply to everybody, but you got to find individually what works for you. So what I will suggest to clients is maybe it's on like a Wednesday, you're checking your weight. If you're holding steady, if you're only maintaining and you want to lose weight, then maybe you got to move that weight check to Monday, because you may be undoing all of your progress over the weekend by going off the rails. So again, that's going to depend a little bit more on your unique needs. But yeah, so daily can be fine if you're not going crazy with it, but it's not necessarily important that you weigh every day. So this study said at least weekly. And I think weekly is enough to start to see a trend. So if you are creeping up in weight, then you know you've got to do something different, or you'll see that you're maintaining weight. And the television, I love the television hours. So less than 10 hours of television per week. So I have this handout that has this little chart where you can record your exercise hours, your television watching hours, and then you just record the day of the week, and it has these stats on there. So if you want this, just shoot me an email and I will send it to you. Not an email, just post your email here in the comments. If you don't want to share your email publicly, then you can send me a private message, and I will send you this sheet so that you can track. And then you just make copies of it, and you can just keep doing it every week, and then you might even be inspired to make some of your own tracking system. So if you want that, let me know. All right, that was number 3. Okay, so number 4, here we go. Hormones and stress matter. So again, this gets back to, a calorie is not a calorie, what's happening, the hormone response that's happening after you eat that food. And hormones, I had a client say to me once, well, I had a hysterectomy, I don't have hormones. Hormones are not just your sex hormones. You have over 50 hormones in your body. That is what your endocrine system is. The endocrine glands release hormones, and hormones are chemical messengers that are circulating through your body. You may be surprised to know that vitamin D is actually a hormone. It's a misnomer that we call it a vitamin, but it's actually a hormone that your body produces. Remember, when the sunlight hits your skin, you produce vitamin D, and you can supplement that because most of us are short on vitamin D. Your sex hormones, of course, but also your stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. But cortisol, it gets a bad rep. It's not a bad thing. If you do not have enough cortisol and adrenaline, you feel like crap. You don't feel good. So your cortisol should be higher in the morning to wake you up and to get you going. And you should have that energy throughout the day that you want. It should gradually lower so that you can go to bed at night. So cortisol, it gets a bad rap, but it's not a bad thing. Oxytocin, the cuddle hormone. HGH, human growth hormone, that gets released when you sleep. That's why you need to make sure you're sleeping properly when you work out, so you can see the benefits of your workout. The benefits don't happen in the gym. They happen when you recover, especially at night. Insulin, so that is the hormone that gets the sugar out of your blood and puts it into the cells. People who either do not produce insulin or have become insulin resistant, they need to take insulin. That's a hormone. Ghrelin is the hormone that tells you you're hungry. Leptin is the hormone that tells you you've had enough. Guess what releases leptin to tell you you've had enough? Fat. Fat is an endocrine gland. It is not this dead substance. It is releasing hormones. Melatonin to tell you it's time to go to sleep. And of course, all of your thyroid hormones. And there's a lot more. Just mentioning some of these common ones you might know. So these all affect everything, your mood and your weight and all of the things. So these are one of the reasons why I talk about managing your hormones, balancing your hormones. If you are not getting enough sleep, you are going to mess up your ghrelin and your leptin hormones, and you're going to be hungrier and reaching for like these high energy foods all day long, susceptible to the donuts in the break room. If you are not eating on a regular schedule, you risk waking up in the middle of the night hungry, or just waking up 2 hours before your alarm clock because your body doesn't know it's not time to eat yet. You kind of train your body when it's time to eat, and that allows you to get better sleep. There's a lot of other things that are happening that affect eating. So the insulin, like you eat a high carb meal, right? You get that spike and crash later, and then you go looking for something else. So all of these hormones affect what's going on with your hunger and your eating and your weight. And this also comes back to a question I got on Instagram about weight loss after 40. yes, as we get older, just in general, men and women have a harder time with weight loss. One of the reasons is because we lose muscle mass if we're not strength training. But another reason, especially it's hard for women, is the hormonal changes that we experience. That is a real thing. And I feel like you know this. You didn't need somebody to tell you this. Like, you know that as you get into your 40s and 50s, it gets harder to lose weight. You can't make those same changes. I recently listened to a podcast that said women are a lot more sensitive to carbs and sugar in that menopausal time. And you probably know this. There's a lot of things you could eat in your 20s that you can't eat anymore. But what I find is ironic is, you know this, you didn't need a study to tell you this, but you still keep eating the things. Like, you know that you need to do better. You can't eat the same way you did when you're 20, yet you're still eating, the candies and the cookies and, oh, well, it's so-and-so's birthday, I had to have cake, because my birthday, I had to have cake. You're not listening to your what your body is telling you. So that is a real thing. If that gives you some comfort, that's a real thing, but that doesn't let you off the hook. That means you've got to do even more work. This is why I made that post about women need to exercise an hour a day to prevent that gradual weight creep that comes 50 and up. And again, if you're listening to this and you're 20, 30, 40, you are not off the hook. You've got to start that habit now, because if you are not exercising, you're not going to wake up on your 50th birthday and start exercising for an hour every day. So you've got to start now. Get more sensitive. I have some resources for you as far as hormones. So there is a great book if you are not yet menopausal or premenopausal and you are having periods, you're on a regular cycle, or you're not on a regular cycle and you want to get on a regular cycle. There's a book called Woman Code by Alyssa Vitti. Woman Code, and that talks about your cycle and just what's going on hormonally throughout your cycle, what you need, what foods you can eat, what type of exercises you can do to better manage your cycle. And no matter how old you are, you would really love the book, The Adrenal Thyroid Revolution by Aviva Romm, R-O-M-M. So she talks about the thyroids. If you feel like burnt out, or you have adrenaline fatigue, or you just, you have weight that you can't get rid of, especially if you're over 40, if you're stressed out, if you're tired, that is a great book. And she's going to talk about, things you can do, foods you can eat to bring some more balance. And if you want to find out in general what exercise does for your hormones, there's a great book. This is not exclusively for women. This is for humans. It's called Spark by Dr. Rady. And he talks about all of the benefits of exercise on your mind and your body, and why it is so good for you. I think this should be required reading for every human being, so that might inspire you to get moving every day. And another great resource that I have for you is a podcast by Dr. Tina, Tyna. It is called Pain Free and Strong. And in episode 64, the episode is called How Your Thyroid Impacts Pain, which if you have pain, you're going to find that really fascinating. But she also talks about just the thyroid and different thyroid tests that you need. So if you are going to your regular doctor and they're just doing the regular panel, they're not going to be testing for all of the thyroid hormones. They're just going to be testing for the main one. And that may look normal, but what's going on behind the scenes with the other thyroid hormones and the antibodies may be more revealing. And she also points out the problem where a lot of doctors will say, well, you're in normal range, you're within normal range. And she compares it to if you wear a size 7 shoe, you're not going to be comfortable in a size 5 or a size 10. So just because you're within range doesn't mean you are optimal for you. And of course, when we're feeling great, we don't go get these things checked. So we don't know where our optimal is, even if we're within range. So we want to manage those symptoms so that we feel better. And you may not get that from your primary. You may have to go to an endocrinologist or a naturopath so that they're looking at those other hormones and really working with you so that you feel good, not just telling you, well, you're within normal range. So that's a good resource for you there. Number 5, you have to clean up your internal and external environment. So this, again, kind of goes back to a calorie is not a calorie. You need to clean up your gut bacteria, your microbiome. They have done studies with mice where they have obese mice and normal weight mice, and they can see that they have different bacteria, and they can just simply transpose the gut bacteria from the normal weight mouse into the overweight mouse, and the overweight mouse will lose weight. So your gut bacteria has a whole lot more to do with your mood and your weight and things like your skin, your emotional well-being, a lot more than we understand. But they definitely have seen that there are differences in the gut bacteria of overweight people and normal weight people. So normal weight people have a more diverse gut bacteria. So we like them, we like the bugs, they are our friends. This is why it's so detrimental to take antibiotics or to use like antibacterial soap. We want those bugs, they are a good thing. You can do that by eating healthy foods. You know, it's the processed foods that will destroy your gut bacteria as well. So eating healthy foods, you know, look at those prebiotic and probiotic foods. A probiotic supplement, you can do some research on that. I kind of feel, I'm kind of, you know, on the side where you can't really get those bacteria from a pill. I do eat fermented food every day. I eat sauerkraut every day, so that's one of the ways that you can get that. If you do eat yogurt, you can eat Greek yogurt, just make sure it has the live bacteria. Kombucha is also fermented, sauerkraut, kimchi, all those fermented foods. They're really good to include in your diet for your gut health. But again, just eating healthy, whole foods, that's going to do it for you. It's the processed foods that are so terrible, and all the sugars, artificial sweeteners. Okay, so gut bacteria. Chemicals. So not only the chemicals in your food, but are you, eating out of plastic containers? Are you microwaving in plastic containers? What about the stuff that you're cleaning your house with? The dangerous toxic chemicals in there. This goes back to the endocrine system. So I talked about this in my video about processed foods. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. A lot of these chemicals, a lot of these things in the food that we want to avoid, as well as in like your cleaning products, they are endocrine disruptors. And again, what that means is it's messing with your hormones. So we already talked about that. Your hormones are important. You have to get your hormones in line. So you need to clean up your internal and external environment. So get the chemicals out of the foods you're eating. If you're drinking out of plastic water bottles, if you're eating out of plastic containers, if you are eating a lot of processed foods, you're getting also the chemicals from those containers. You're getting chemicals that they don't have to list on the ingredients because they are used in the processing. They're technically not an ingredient, but they're in your food, a lot of chemicals. You also need to work on other forms of toxins, toxic relationships, toxic beliefs, unhealed trauma. You may think, what does this have to do with it? A lot. You've got to fix what's going on the inside. So your mindset matters. If you are constantly saying to yourself and to the world, I'm on a diet because I need to lose weight, you have set up your reality that you will forever be overweight because you need to lose weight. You're changing those words so that you're saying things like, I eat healthy, I take care of myself. That's it. That's it. You don't have to qualify that with, I need to lose weight. I need to lose 10 pounds. If you keep saying that, you're always going to be 10 pounds overweight. So starting to change those things that you say, the beliefs that you hold about yourself, trauma that you're holding on to, that manifests itself in your body. Your body is the product of your subconscious mind. You may need help with that. That may be something you can work out on your own with some journaling, reflecting, meditation. You may need some support from a professional, a counselor, a therapist, a life coach, but you got to work on that stuff. You got to work on the inside to get the results on the outside. Okay, number 6. So you need support and accountability. The truth about weight loss is you need support and accountability. If you could do it on your own, you would have already done it. And that does not mean you are a bad person or you're not a hard worker. None of those things. We need help. We're not afraid to get help on any of the other things that we need. We don't fix our cars ourselves. We don't fix our computers ourselves. If our screen on our phone breaks, we don't fix it ourselves. But somehow we have this idea like, well, it's my body. I should be able to take care of it. You go to the doctor, you go to the dentist. Well, you need to go to the trainer and the yoga teacher and the nutrition coach so that they can help you in their area of expertise. And it depends on many factors. If you will need this for one time to get a jump start, if you will need to do this ongoing for months, for years, You may have to try different people to get the right person that works for you. But if we've talked about this, you need an hour of exercise every day. If that is something that you need help with, you need accountability, you need support, well, then you need that Pilates class, you need that yoga class, you need to show up for that trainer for your appointment. You need those things. And that does not mean you are a bad person or you have failed. I hear a lot about the goal should be to, make your own at-home yoga practice. I don't want my own at-home yoga practice. I want to go and be in a class, and I want to be in that energy, and I want to have a good teacher. I want that energy. So I want the same thing for you. If you do not want to work out in your house or do yoga in your house, then don't do it. That's not the goal. So do what works for you, but you're going to need to reach out to those people who can help you. Just like I said, you might need, an endocrinologist or a naturopath to help you with your hormone situation that you have going on, if you need to bring balance into that. So the same thing, you're going to need somebody to help give you information about food and to help give you general information, but also specific information. If you've been plugging along doing your thing and it's not working, it's time to do something different. If you don't know what that different is, or you're having a hard time sticking to that, then you need that accountability. And accountability is best from an outside person, not your partner, not your friend. It's got to be somebody that you've hired to keep you accountable. This is why we all just can't give away yoga for free. You have to make that investment. It has to matter to you. That is really important. And you need support. And the support can come from the person that you've hired, but support can come from your friends, your family, from people on the internet. That's why it's really good to publicize your goals, talk about what you're doing, share that. Let your family know. Don't let it be a secret, especially over Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of these holidays that you're trying to eat healthier. I talked about this last week. Let them know the expectations up front, and they won't be surprised. When you come over for Thanksgiving dinner, let them know, I'm eating fruit salad for dinner. I'm eating fresh fruit. I'm not eating pumpkin pie. I'm not eating meat. I won't be eating turkey or any of the things that go with it. Let them know. Let them know why you're doing it. Get that support. And if they are not supportive of you, well, then choose who you're going to share with. So share with the people who are going to lift you up and encourage you. Okay, number 7, last one. Patience. Weight loss takes consistency, patience, and hard work. There are no quick fixes. There are no fad diets. They do not work in the long run. And this is hard because we want that. We see that, we click on that, 30 days to a better this, 90 days and, all your dreams come true. We want that promise. And let's just say that shortcut does work. It's not maintainable. This is why you see these like reality shows and they put them in these extreme lifestyle makeovers, diet, exercise, and we get this fantastic result at the end of the series. But guess what happens when they follow up with those people later? They haven't maintained it. They've struggled to maintain it. So that is the patience and the consistency. You need to take those little baby steps and keep growing and stay consistent with it. And it does take hard work. You are going to have to make changes. You are going to have to get uncomfortable. Let go of the idea that you couldn't possibly have coffee without sugar. Let go of the idea that you couldn't possibly have coffee without, pouring half and half in it every day. You can make these changes. You can do it. It's hard work. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to eat different foods. If you are somebody who doesn't eat vegetables, which I don't understand that. It's almost 2020. You're an adult. Eat a vegetable. Eat a salad. You're going to have to eat these foods. You can't keep doing what you've been doing and get the same results. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to experiment with different foods, try new things, and it is an everyday thing. It's not sometimes. You're not on, you're not off. This is why I do not believe in diets. Diets do not work. You don't go on a diet and then go back to eating, that's my example all the time, Cheetos and Mountain Dew. You're going to change your life. This is what it is. This is what it requires. And it's got to happen every day. So you've got to surround yourself with people who support you. You've got to go to the places that they go. You have to change. You have to make these habits in small steps. Again, you could do this big overhaul. Looks really impressive on social media. You get this amazing after photo in 30 days, but it's not going to give you the long-term results that you want. And that's what you have to keep in mind. I have some resources here for you as well. If you want some practical stuff to get started right now, you can read or listen to the audiobook Atomic Habits by James Clear. That's really a good book for some practical, applicable steps, and he wrote it that way. He references The other book that's really popular about habits is The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg. And James Clear said he kind of feels like his book picks up where The Power of Habit left off. So The Power of Habit kind of fills you in on the science behind it. And then James Clear really gives you the tactical stuff that you can put into place right now. A lot of his tips are similar to Gretchen Rubin's tips in her book, Better Than Before. I quote that all the time. So both of those books would be really great reads to not only inspire you, but to give you something practical that you could use right now. So with Better Than Before, Gretchen Rubin is really about knowing yourself. So the example that I love to give is you hear this advice, everything in moderation. Well, that is not good advice for everybody. I know for me, let's take, for example, ketchup. I don't want a little bit of ketchup. I want all of the ketchup, or I'll just have no ketchup. And so right now I'm on like no ketchup. I can't remember the last time I had it. And it's just that awesome combination of the acid and the salt and the sugar, and it hits all my taste buds, and I can't just have a little. I don't want a little. Little doesn't satisfy me. I'd just rather have none at all. So everything in moderation is not good advice for you if you feel that way about something, about chips, about chocolate or candy or cake or ice cream. You know, if you're not somebody who can eat like 2 bites of ice cream and say, oh, it's good, I've had enough, then just don't even have it. Don't even have it. So her book is really useful so you can better know yourself and use the tips that work for you. Again, if you cannot eat these unhealthy foods in moderation, that is not a character flaw. You have not failed. Great. You figured out what you need. You need abstinence, not moderation. So that's a really good book. Atomic Habits, Better Than Before, and The Power of Habit, all really great reads. All right, let's do a quick recap here. The 7 truths about weight loss. Number 1, you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. Oh, now I gotta go back and say the thing I forgot to say. You cannot out-exercise a bad diet. Number 2, it's not about eating less. For most people, you need to eat more protein, more fiber, more water. You have to monitor your food intake, your exercise, and your weight. You have to monitor. Number 4, hormones and stress matter. I might not even touched on stress enough, but or sleep. I'm going to do better with my notes. So sleep, people who are underslept statistically are more prone to being overweight, and stress is not good. You got to manage your stress with all of these things. Number 5, you have to clean up your internal and external environment, meaning your gut bacteria, the chemicals that are in your food, your cleaning cleaning products, and even like the containers that your food is coming in. Toxic relationships, toxic beliefs, and unhealed trauma. Number 6, support. You need support and accountability. Number 7, it does take consistency, patience, and hard work. And let me jump back and say the thing I wanted to say about exercise. And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about hormones. Women over 40 need to exercise. So what does exercise do for you? Cardio is not the best way to lose weight. I know it's got that reputation. What it actually does is it helps to improve the function in your brain associated with impulse control and planning and working toward your goal. So it is helping your brain do the things you need to do so that you can lose weight. It also helps to alleviate anxiety. So think about stress eating. If you can go, jump on the treadmill or the elliptical or go outside and go for a walk, you're going to be less likely to stress eat, which is a problem for a lot of us. Strength training, you have to strength train because it increases your muscle that we lose with age. You hear this all the time, muscle burns more calories than fat. It does take more, calories to maintain the muscle tissue, but I want you to think about this. When you eat, your food gets turned into glycogen to get stored, and it gets stored where? In your muscles. Those are your glycogen stores. The more muscle you have, the more glycogen you can store, because once you run out of storage space in your muscle, you know where it goes. It goes to fat. So the muscle is the storage space for the glycogen. This is why you see these people online, they're weightlifters, they're huge, they're muscly, and they're eating pizzas and hamburgers. They're eating all that high caloric food because they got the storage space for it. So that's why you need to have more muscle. And there's tons of other benefits for cardio and strength training, but those are kind of the big ones for weight loss. So you got to strength train. All right, so if you have questions about any of these truths, please share it here. And if there's something that I didn't mention here that has been working for you, post it in the comments, because I feel like this framework will be growing and evolving for me I like these 7 truths, but there may be some things I haven't even thought about. So if there's something else that you think I should include in this framework, post it in the comments. And anytime you have something you want me to talk about in a video or question you have, share it with me, send in a message, post it in the comments, and be sure to follow me not only here on Facebook, Alicia Cross Training, but also over on Instagram, same name, Alicia Cross Training. And I'll be back here next week to talk to you live. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.